Donaldsonville. Just a businessman that's interested in the fort.
Calvin is pretty modest. He's really a genius. He's an artist. He's a humanitarian. He does a lot of things for a lot of people. He's also the guy that did the replica of Fort Butler. And it took him, I don't know, maybe 6 months to build that thing. He started just kind of chipping away at it and finally completed it. But he's done a lot. He's written a story about Fort Butler. And he's been a tremendous help. He also serves on the board of directors for Fort Butler and board of directors, I think, for everything else in Donaldsonville. But we consider Calvin an asset to the Fort Butler project.
Thank you, Andrew.
Well, welcome.
I'm Frankie Cosby. I'm Calvin's other half. And I'm not as artistic as he is, but I'm in the field of education. I've taught 38 years in Ascension and Ascension Parish. And I did all his proofreading.
We appreciate Frankie being here with them.
Thank you, Evan.
I'm Sandra Ambagulio. I'm a merchant in Donaldsonville, and I support any tourism acts that can be brought to Donaldsonville.
We appreciate Sandra. Sandra's another worker. Whenever there's something to be done or a volunteer needed, she's one of the people that gets in and does the job. She doesn't look for any acknowledgement for anybody, but she's always there. She's very civic-minded. She attends all of the police jury meetings, the city council meetings. She serves on the board of directors for the chamber, and she's very active in the community, but she's very low-key. Nobody knows what's taking place, but Sandra is an asset to the community, and we're glad to have her here today.
I'm Scott Beecher. I'm the past president of Pelican Relic and Recovery Association out of Baton Rouge, and I'm a volunteer.
The interesting thing about Scott, I started looking for a cannon when I first got interested in history. I started looking for this cannon that the Donaldsonville Cannoneers had dumped into a well on courthouse property. And I contacted, I was talking to Roger one day, and Roger said, well, you need to call this guy up. He said he has a magnetometer. He knows how to find things in the ground. And so anyway, I got involved with Scott, and it's been a pleasure. Scott is a guy, is another worker. He gets things done. And we were talking one day, and when we'd go out on the sites to metal detect all up and down the bayou, he would put out the flags on his van. He had these flag holders made, and he'd put flags, the American flag, and then the state flag, and then the Pelican Relic and Recovery flag. And I told him, I said, man, you must have been an Eagle Scout. He said, I was. So anyway, we appreciate Scott and all his help. And by the way, he brought the crawfish to us. And
Debbie Busbus, live in Morgan City.
Debbie is Roger Busbus's wife, and she's a teacher and an asset to all the projects that we have, and a stabilizing force in Roger's life. And
which is important. Yes, indeed. I'm Roger Busbus. I'm an adjunct instructor of history for Nicholas State University, retired school administrator in St. Mary Parish. I'm president of the Louisiana Archives Foundation, chairman of the Morgan City Archives Commission.
And also starting the Young Sanders Center for the study between the war between the states. And this is a major center that's going to be located right in our midst for people that want to do any type of research. And Roger and I have been working together and talking about things for, I guess, the last 5 years or so. And whenever I think of anybody to be a historian, I think about Roger. If anybody's been to the old state capitol since they restored it, has anybody been over there? Yep. It's really well done. Roger is the person that restored the old state capitol, so his knowledge of history and archives is second to none, and I consider it an honor to be friends with Roger Busbus.
Patrick Cotard. I'm the curator for the Young Sanders Center for the Study of the War Between the States and for the Morgan City Archives. And the Young Sanders Center and the Morgan City Archives is here to support all of your efforts with Fort Butler. And if y'all should ever need anything, please give me a call. We have our brochures on the table over there in the garage area. And please contact me at any time if you ever need any help with anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick is just getting on board with us. He's been working with Roger. He was the manager and started the White Plantation Home Museum.
We reopened the plantation after it had been closed about 8 years.
Yeah, so he was one of the guys. So he's a historian as well and a good person to know, and we appreciate him being here.
Thank you for the invitation.
And next is Mr.
Yeah, I'm Shelby Gilly, Glenn's neighbor here at St. Emma. And this is my son here and his girlfriend Robin. And I think we're going to do a couple of tours later on. Great.
Yeah, we appreciate Shelby. Shelby is a guy that kind of gets things done, and he picks away at it. He's just he just completed a manuscript that he turned into the University of Missouri on Clementine Hunter. And he also has an art gallery and other businesses in Baton Rouge, and we appreciate him opening up St. Emma to us, and also being part of the Relic and Recovery group. I don't know if he's an official member or not, but he sure has been kind enough letting us hunt in his yard, and I don't think that'll happen anymore because he's got several metal detectors and he's got his son out there with him, and so
Yeah, but what's good, you got to the good stuff before you started. That's right, and all the good stuff. I'm Glenn Fowler, and I'm the other half. This is my home, and I welcome all of you, and I want to let you know that I'm very proud to be a part of this program.
well, no, we can't say enough about Glenn, because when something has to get done, he's a good guy to have on your side. And we work well together. You know, we come up with different ideas. We think similar, and we go at things in different ways. And but we're pretty close on getting stuff done. We're pretty aggressive in our work and desire to get things done. We don't take no for an answer. We don't take NO. We keep plugging away. And we appreciate Glenn. And again, none of this would be possible if it were not for him. August Bradford, who's not here, he had his tonsils out, and Evans Casso, who died a few months back. But without Glenn, we wouldn't have this opportunity to be here.
Okay, I'm Mark Hike, and taking a lesson from George Washington, I'm here to eat crawfish. But I'm really pleased to see this core group helping to carve a niche in the historical background of Donaldsonville and maybe write a few chapters in our historical book. I'm pleased to be a part of this gathering. I'm a guest of Andrews.
Mark and I went to school together, played football together, and I guess maybe about 15 to 20 years ago we sort of rekindled our friendship after being separated during the school years and all that stuff. And Mark has been a friend to me in every aspect, and I just appreciate him dearly, and his wife Paula. Go ahead and introduce yourself. This is Paula's a Rang Hike, and Paula's the other side of Mark, and just an asset to him, and we really appreciate her and all her efforts that she's done too.
Hi, I'm Betsy Bauer, and my husband Craig, who's a historian.
Okay, Betsy is the wife of Craig, and she has been a driving force in his life, and
Proofreader.
yeah, proofreader. And but anyway, we just appreciate her and the opportunity of her being here. When I called to invite her, one of the things that she told me, she said, you know, of all the things that we did last year, she said, coming down to the country to eat crawfish was the best thing that we did. And
It's fun. It's fun.
but anyway, we appreciate you being here.
I'm Craig Bauer. I'm another one of those history professors who know how to find a good meal. And so that's why we're here. My research is in the area of some of the families in the area. I've done work on Duncan Kenner and the Kenner family. I'm presently working on biography of the Bronze Age. And always glad to add my 2 cents whenever Andrew calls.
Yeah, Craig also is on our National Advisory Board, and has contributed to some of the research on Fort Butler, and has come up with some good things. But we appreciate him and his efforts. He doesn't hesitate to come in, and he's not bashful. He's not afraid to say anything. And his book, if you've never read it, the book on Duncan Kenner, I think everybody needs to read that. And I told him I had a problem with that. I said, you know, Greg, I said, you know, I'm not a real intelligent guy, but I had to read that book with a dictionary on my lap. His vocabulary, I mean, is but anyway.
Please take Andrew's advice. Just sign up. I have books in the trunk and glad to. And dictionaries. Also have dictionaries available.
Okay, we've got somebody else that just walked in. We want to introduce him.
Duke Rivette from Louisiana Division of Archaeology. My friend Linda Roscoe.
Good. We're glad y'all could be here. Duke is one of the troublemakers of Louisiana, and he is the liaison between the state and every activity that takes place as far as for new construction. They got to go through Duke, and so Duke can cause them problems if they're on a historical site. And but anyway, Duke is a good friend, and he's worked well with us on our dig that we had out at Fort Butler, and we have some real good conversations, sometimes hours on the telephone, and but he's also a historian, has got ties down to this area. Craig, he is, you're familiar with that. But anyway, he's got ties with the Branches and everybody else, so he's a good friend. And I see that somebody else snuck in over here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Chris Hayes, regional archaeologist for southeastern Louisiana at LSU.
Chris? Chris?
Okay. Sorry, but I've got some bronchitis and trying to maintain not talking too much. I was directed the excavations down at Fort Butler. Let's see. As I said, my throat's not doing too well. And I'm continuing to research, do as much background research on Fort Butler. We're analyzing all of the artifacts, and we expect to have a preliminary report by the end of the year on what we're finding.
So we appreciate Chris being here. One of the things when we got started with this thing, they had this little guy come in, a little blonde-headed guy, and I said, "Who's this little kid coming around here?" And come and find out that is the archaeologist. I said, "Oh, wait a second." But anyway, he did a terrific job. We had a few problems when we were dealing with the Corps of Engineers, and one night, Chris called me up. He said, "Look," he said, "you think you can be at the site tomorrow?" He said, "They got the colonel coming in from the Corps." He said, "I'd like you to be around because we may run into some problems because we came further into the levee than they gave us." And I said, "No problem." So I got there a little bit late, and of course the colonel was out there, and there was Chris, and he was down in the hole trying to explain to him. And when I walked up there, boy, when he saw me, he had a grin came on his face, and it was like, "Please take over," So, but anyway, the colonel was real lenient on us and said that it was a job well done, and that we should fill it and so on. And I told the colonel, I said, "Colonel," I said, "one of the things we need you to do now is to move the levee back about 200 yards. I said, "so we can uncover the whole fort." He said, "Well, I don't think that we can do that." I said, "Well, I've been to Washington once," I said, "and we made pretty good progress." I said, "I think next time I go, we're going to get them to move that levee back." He said, "Well, good luck to you." But did we leave out anybody? I think that's about... Okay, well, like was... Alors manger.
We're going to figure out how to get this on the table quicker.
Yeah. So everybody but your children.
You got to put enough here.
Take it easy now.
So we've been going through this for like 1923 and 40-something years, and we just get the camera on my we were just so my head.
I love to watch people eat. Yeah, you just sit right here with the arrow, and you sit right
he really can come to you. You know where the people are.
I'll say 40 or 50 bucks. Everything I did for the treasure, I had to supply. And if I didn't supply it, they didn't get it. You know, it's a different deal. Well, I mean, the pictures that I'm aware of.
This is Shelby Gilly.
Glad you came over.
It's amazing to see this.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, you told me only that you had undercover.
That's right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right. As a matter of fact, that's what these other ones came to. Yeah, but anyway, I'll call you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for the Appreciate it. He and Annette Harlan are the ones who got to school in '91 from Davis, General Davis. From General Davis. From Potts, right. From Dr.
Someone who's getting on the floor to get into two or three of them.
All these little bullets, are they still modern bullets?
Yes.
When did they start getting this small?
And the guns got better. They got to be, like revolvers
Yeah.
instead of like the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be revolvers and then they just got small and the rifles.
Is the guy with the But this was a Confederate soldier who was at Vicksburg. This was actually taken or painted while he was at Vicksburg. There's a river in the background. Tent. But he was from West Baton Rouge Parish. He was a Major Bird, B-I-R-D. Document signed by Kirby Smith, who was the gentleman. Here that supposedly the resident ghost was seen. There was a photographer here photographing a bride shortly before her wedding, and he had photographed the bride and the bridesmaids and the whole wedding party. And then he said that a few minutes later, he asked what happened to the girl in the little girl in the blue dress. He said, "I need to get her photograph." And they said, "What girl?" in a blue dress. We have nobody in the wedding party in the blue dress, and there's no little girl in the blue dress. So he said, I saw a little girl upstairs. Her reflection was in the mirror while I was doing the photographs. He said, I could see her reflection in the mirror. I know she was there. She was standing there. So the only thing we can figure out is that was the ghost of this little girl. She had once lived here and just happened to appear at that time. That's the end of the story.
Don't pull it out.
We gotta head out. I got it.
Okay. Okay, I will. All right. I'll be bugging you. Hey, tell the Lieutenant Governor that I will be asking for some signs.
We're going to do a scan. Uncovered this fallen brick here, which we were quite certain is the remnants of probably the corner where the moat turned. Unfortunately, when we excavated underneath this brick, we never found any in-place brick. So one theory that we've got is that it's as you can see, it's a nice it's very concentrated set of brick here, but one theory we have is it was maybe all pushed over, perhaps in place, because it probably could not have been just, it was not dumped. Isn't that what kind of way you were looking at it, Chip? Or at least that's, I don't think it could have been dumped in that kind of linear shape. This is what I'm thinking, and have that nice turn.
Well, it could be if the moat was still open and that was part of the fill put in it. Which is
Yeah.
one of the possibilities from tearing down brick walls elsewhere. They may have simply dumped loads of it.
There wasn't any mortar on those bricks, though.
No, there was not,
Loose
which
brick.
is, yeah, it's loose brick. It's a puzzle. I mean, many of you probably saw when we had that area fully exposed. The last thing we did, as Chris mentioned, the last day I was out there was I took one of the backhoe trenches and I took all the bricks out and dug down underneath with the expectation that I was going to find an intact brick wall. Because we knew from the reports of the fort that the lower face of the moat wall was lined with brick. And in two of the trenches, the two westernmost trenches, the one at what would be the western end of the big block we opened, and the next one down, we don't have any pictures of it here, but you can see in the wall of the trench the sediments that clearly formed part of the wall, the interior wall, the fortification wall. We have that in situ so that we know we are at the edge of the moat. I mean, Chris and I certainly fully agree that we have found the moat. It's just not entirely clear what's in the moat.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what the relationship of the brick to that. It's just whether how that's sort of more of an archaeological puzzle than it is a question of that we need to belabor too much.
I would also point out that we did not get to the bottom of the moat anywhere either, and so we don't know what the lower part. Presumably, that intact brick wall is still going to be down there at the bottom.
What about the timbers, Chip? You know how we had those two big timbers
they're
and
dumped in there as well.
they looked like they were on an angle and then they joined in and it looked like that was that star corner. And
It does. The timbers he's referring to, you all remember, are big 12 by 12 timbers with at one end they had iron spikes and they clearly interlocked in this kind of fashion. However, the sediments that we found underneath and around them, the archaeological term for them is they're redeposited, that is, they're mixed. Those timbers are not sitting in their original place relative to where they were when the fort was there. I think they've been dumped in there as well, or at least somehow moved from their original position.
all right,
But I think they do probably, as the bricks, they do mark more or less the orientation of the wall, but I think they've been dumped in there. That would be my opinion.
They could have slumped maybe the side
Slumped
of the
or thrown over the edge. I mean, they could have been part of the upper, bulwark. When they were tearing it down, they simply pushed them over the edge and they rolled down. So they're still lying relatively in the proper place and orientation, but they are not in their original position.
so you actually think that the bottom, we didn't reach the bottom of the moat then? You don't think that all that brick that we found was the bottom?
No, because I dug through that you know, where one of the trenches is, in fact, actually two of the trenches, we took all that brick out and went through, you know, continued going down, and we did not reach the bottom of the moat. I don't know how deep that
The moat was supposed to be 12 feet deep, so.
Well, we were pretty close to that at that particular point. Where,
no, we had another 6 feet to go.
oh, we had 6 more.
Considering where the original level of that,
Yeah,
that,
the original
that
ground
level
surface,
would have
yeah.
been, yeah, because there'd been so much fill in there that we definitely didn't get down that far.
Okay.
Again, just in terms of though, you know, we're still talking about though that basically it's if it's being dumped, it's still from just, it's not too far away. I mean, again, the pattern is suggests that it's maybe again perhaps pushed over. We don't know the exact taphonomy, how it's exactly fallen in place, but in any case, this I encourage you to, you know, anybody who wants to see a little bit more, shows you some of the structures that we found in front of the levee. So right now, let me backtrack here. We know pretty well that what we've got here is the moat. We know about the powder magazine. The question is in a lot of our minds, what are these structures that were in front of the levee here? Right now, I am not really sure what they are. One thing that is clear is that it represents a number of different building episodes. This star-shaped thing here, or triangular or offset rectangle within this rectangle, this larger rectangular area, is a very kind of soft brick laid on its end, and it seems to be demarcating a pathway, or perhaps some military area that would have been more of a ceremonial area, because it clearly could have not supported any foundation. The brick that's over here, this photo is looking west here, and the levee's going back up this way. This chain wall here, though, clearly could have been a foundation of some type. As you get farther west over here, this is a whole different building episode right here, and there was some kind of burning going on over here that may represent a raising episode or something. But these seem to represent several different time periods. That is, I haven't looked at it in detail. We're also finding a lot of seems to be stuff from construction. A lot of pulled nails, a lot of just beat up pieces of iron and so forth, and. Yeah, again, all of that, the dating that we've done is again mid-19th century, so that's all fitting together quite well. To mention. Well, also during the course of our investigations, I was particularly interested in trying to find out what was going on in this area. So I put some additional units right down inside this diamond and right beside that general area, and we came up with a couple of interesting things. One of which was below the brick chain wall down in that midden, we came up with a Donaldsonville cannoneer button, and we also came up with one in the area to the farther to the west, over in that burned area I was talking about, where it's raised, though. The problem is that area is that dark area, I'm not sure whether it's in place or not, or whether it's, I can't say for sure whether it's contemporary with what I'm finding over here. But the button that we've got over here definitely, I would, based on the sediments, is in place. So that's an interesting find. Trying to think if there are any other things to note generally about the archaeology. We're still processing a lot of this. Oh, I know one other thing. And glassware and ceramics and bone concentrated in an area that just clearly represents some kind of deep trash pit. The artifacts that we've analyzed so far indicate to us that it probably postdates the fort. I mean, it is all the artifacts are more like late 19th century. As you get towards the bottom of it, there may be some artifacts that suggest it could be contemporary. Overall, though, when I've looked at how this thing was deposited, it suggests that it represents actually rather than a long period of use of this thing, that it was used fairly over a fairly short period of time, because I'm getting cross mends of things from maybe about 2 or 3 feet down from the top, and then things another couple feet down, I'm getting pots cross mending, which suggests that it's a fairly discrete short time that this was deposited. So this is telling me something more about probably after the fort was used, and indeed a lot of what's going on over here may post-date the fort as well, in terms of, or at least some of these construction episodes, and that's why I'm doing all the research I can do on archival work and so forth, and I've come up with dead ends so far on this is how the fort was used after the Civil War. So that.
Well, maybe we can, if anybody's got any ideas, maybe.
What's at the powder magazine itself? That's nice, real tight brickwork. So whatever was going on here, it's almost happened earlier, and it was maybe a first part, or for some reason why it seems to be a very different kind of construction. Whether they occurred at the same time and just decided to construct them differently, I don't know. I mean, the other thing about this is that it does seem to mark some kind of pathway, although it was not clear. Now, one of the things that was kind of unfortunate about how this all evolved was when, as I said, we started off, we're just trying to find the powder magazine. We end up digging 2 trenches into the levee. I was trying to do minimal impact at the time, and then the Corps comes back later on and says, well, you've dug 2 trenches, you're going to have to take that middle section out. Well, by that point, I didn't have time to completely take it out and investigate all of that. So it would have been nice, because that was really the area between the powder magazine and this, and I was able to, with Linda and Mr. Bradford, one day when they were taking that out, I didn't make sure that the backhoe did not go all the way down into in situ deposits, or at least I tried to avoid them going down into that. But there was some kind of ramp that actually led out of the powder magazine down towards that diamond shape, that decorative brick area.
Flagpole?
This diamond kind of shaped area? Well, I saw no evidence. I mean, I dug down, ate something directly down in, and I saw no evidence that there was anything that was set in place.
Didn't you see though that the diamond shape didn't have the?
We did triangulation with Benny Gilberry.
No, there's no way. I can't see that.
Where we
Can you see that supporting anything, the diamond?
to the houses.
No, I think that's the key point about that diamond. It's a non-structural feature.
Diamond, but all over direction in front of it. Yeah, it seems to be right in front of right in front of that area, maybe about 50 foot.
So is it an anchor for one of the guy weight?
What, over that?
Yeah, I'm sure at one time, and maybe they just decided not to put a mortar in there.
What's left is insufficient to support anything.
The chain goes like this, and then it goes like this. So it's a walkway of some kind, and then there's this. This is my excavation. I was trying to see if there was anything down in there, and I didn't find anything suggesting it was
a brick triangle.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't though. That's something that Andrew did before I got involved with. I was just excavating here and here. Those were the 2 places.
Chris, if indeed that diamond existed and opened the way we're talking it opened?
No,
that's too far.
That's what they were just.
Had a good distance in between the.
Yeah, it's about 3-4 meters. I should have that in my head, but it's at least 15 to 20 feet.
But you know, in photographs I've looked at in certain cases where I've seen the stack out of cannonballs, you might have.
We've done. They don't talk about any kind of structures that were there, even in the Spanish ones or the French ones. They just say this little square, 2 arpent square, and that's it. And they're not talking about any kind of. They say, and the structures that go with it, but they're not specific.
But that stuff though could be date to the construction of the fort itself.
Could predate the fort.
Yeah, but it would be stuff that would be perhaps in the sense of just during the, because we're only talking about 15, so that's It's not that thick.
It could have been, I mean, there may have been soldiers living there during the construction of the fort.
Donaldsonville area, say where Crescent Park is, and according to the diary, when the fort was completed and ready to dedicate, it made the comment how they made their way over the pontoon bridge and into the area of the fort, the perimeter, Andrew, the perimeter of the river front of the fort to set up their encampments. Matter of fact, that photograph kind of shows the wagons. So they were moving from Donaldsonville to the Fort Butler site. It's quite possible, according to that, there was no activity other than the fort at the time.
There was a post at Donaldsonville.
It was like Christmas morning to see what else might be uncovered. I enjoyed the entire day.
When's your center going to officially open?
Our center will have its official opening as soon as we kick the Arts and Humanities Council completely out of the building, which we thought we would have done by now. We're running into a slight delay as far as changing the locks, getting the burglar alarm installed, getting a couple of renovations completed, and we want to have all that done before we start moving artifacts, documents, original archival material in there. We will have an advisory board meeting on April 12th, which is when we hope to have the grand opening.
And of course, if you have different kind of metal chemicals, people want to see do their thing. Right. But it takes a certain amount of knowledge to know how to set it up. And about 6 years the chemicals, you got to have plastic tubs to put all this stuff in, that are big enough to hold, whatever pieces.
Really, after the Civil War, but for long-range application.
I got a bunch of stuff that I'd be happy to.
Saw action in Custer's Last Stand.
You have to shot this thing every night. It might get dull or something.
Well, it's not like the traditional bayonet that you and I know, which is more like a knife. This was, well, it was for one of these. And the reason being is that they didn't want that to go back into service to help somebody else, so they punched a hole in it with their bayonets. You almost can't find a clean one without a hole in it, a triangular shaped hole in it. Antique archaeology. People want to try to do it too. Bone fragment. Looks like a chip is with us, of course. He brings up a little bit more because we're getting ready to do some things with the old Ford Star over there, and everybody ship us down in the bay, and hopefully that'll be like a car. But if you come down, let us know you're coming so we can give you a tour.
That's what I wait until you tell me something about Jasmine. In the business,
I can't think of how to say it. Would you believe it?
You say a name,
I can't remember.
I can picture her in
It's because Ray has it in here.
But I
you know, please
but
save
Sister Cirilla stays in my mind right now.
Yeah,
But I tell you what, she was
Save the two friends in this.
I remember that name, Sister Cirilla. It sounds like she was mean.
No, she wasn't.
Most of those nuns were mean.
Why don't I this is my last time?
You better save it and send me a copy.
As fast as my crippled body will carry it. Something we didn't know was there. So they're interested in where it goes and what these kinds of things. They can see supporting anyway, they're kind of interesting.
down. And we're going to scrape off layer by layer with a dozer, and we'll find the artifacts and map them and plot them. And we'll keep going till we get down to that brick level. Then we'll go deeper than the brick level because that was still doing the fort,
That's about the right way.
I know you got to go, but let me tell you.
You'd have to hold it like this.
I know you got to go.
Well, if they ever fired it, they'd be laying down.
It'll knock you over.
In 1863.
Did they get that at Ace Hardware? Or?
Actually, it was from Lemon's department store. It was open at the time.
But you see how they got these timbers? You see these big timbers? This is what the bricks was laid on. The bricks were actually laid on that to keep it from collapsing. And to keep this from slipping in. Okay.
All right.
That's quite a shot, huh? Would you like to get one with him holding the musket?
Also in that perimeter, they had as high as 2,000 to 3,000 freed slaves. And at that time they were called contraband when they were initially freed, and then they were called freed men at that point. These people, they built the fort. The fort was built with slave labor from the plantation, the freed slaves, the freedmen. And so some of them didn't, well, most of them did not want to go back on the plantations. Some of them were forced to go back. They didn't have very many fighting duties. When Benjamin Butler introduced the first black unit, totally black unit, into the United States Army, that was in October of 1862. That was the first black unit ever admitted into hall. And once you know the details, it makes it different than the stories that were previously told. But Donaldsonville was what they called the depot for contraband, or depot of freed. Anyway, this is if you want to go, we can go look at the river, and you can get a perspective of how the bayou went into it. Built in 1862. Fort Butler was started building dirt around, and the bayou used to empty into the river.
Hello, Varsity. Hey, kid.
I wish she could do it too, but she's not following.
I'll sign it if I can.
Touch it, but
I don't know.
I mean, we don't want to do it every few days, but I wondered if we could do it on an hour and a half now.
$1 billion
All right.
I'm still watching TV. Hey, is this going to be on TV?
Process first developed 200 years ago.
This is a corner grocery store, and here's a list of several stores that were in the area, and a map is drawn, and it shows all the corner grocery stores that had like a grocery store at every couple of blocks. And all of these things were in it. You had Italian cookies, you had fly swatters, you had all these old things, eggs, threads, bananas, produce, everything, you know, in the old country stores.
Okay.
spaghetti. I mean meatball gravy. Which and I wait yesterday all day.
Yeah. They don't want him in no other countries. Made by Kenny Fredericks. Best in the world.
Stay in the bus. All right, I'm waiting on my float. You're not leaving,
Back when I got there, when I was registering, Mr. Niles said, "Package got in the basement, be sure you look at it. Make sure it's all right. It's not all right."
Jesus Christ. Oh, she wasn't fussing with me. She wasn't fussing with me. She was
Oh, at the Rouge Station Battlefield Hayride. For all the teenagers there. Hey, might be the more popular part of it. They didn't get back until about midnight.
And he went out to Port Hudson before there was anything in Port Hudson. And he's got tons of artifact shells.
Were a lot of these put in that museum there?
Some of his junk, he's gonna let us take some of it whenever we get more stuff for our museum. Hopefully one day we'll have an interpretive center, here, or we can put it at the Lemon Center. Mm-hmm. But these came in to try to take pressure off of Port Hudson. This was after the people that were harassing. The people that were harassing were Vincent Mac Waters in 1862. 1863 is a different era.
Okay.
Because Mac Waters was killed in. I think most of this is yours, huh, Bill? But he's got two bullets. Where's that? This is the, yeah. These collided in midair. They were shooting every weekend somewhere. And I'll take it and let you use a metal detector. So you can see, once you see how hard it is to find something, then you'll appreciate it. You can't appreciate that book until you get out there.
Not too far from Port Hudson. We live right down the road from Northeast High School, which is about a mile from us. That's about an hour and 10 minutes to go to working men's office each week.
Another night with my head in the pocket.
Oh.
What are they going to do?
It's hard to believe. You got to get a perspective. Looking at alligator.
What did you ride? That added alligator.
They smell bad enough. I was a minute, I'm baby crab.
Yankee fans had a future with that.
Godzilla. Kahuna! Come here, man. Come here, let me show you something. Let's see what we doing.